Welcome friends, it's Rae. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today's video is a part of the Crafty Fun with Friends of LV Handcrafted Collaboration Hop. I am going to be using the Waffle Flower A7 5x7 Postage Collage die and the coordinating stencil. I'm also going to use this stamp set from Mimi Made It called Still He Came. And it has lots of silhouettes of the Nativity scene, and they are pretty small, but just the right size for today's design. Here I'm adding some mitt tape to the back of my postage collage cutout, and then we'll line my stencil up on top of that. And then place this in my MISTI. And I use the grip mat underneath to hold that in place, and then add a couple of magnets on top for reinforcement. And I'm bringing in my Distress Oxide and Dusty Concord and just a palette so that I can kind of tap off over to the side so that I don't get harsh lines as I'm inking my panel. And we'll take these, the inking down at least over half of the panel. Looks like more like 2/3. So just inking each panel over top that stencil. Come back in with my ink again just to smooth out that blend. And this is not, this is a very forgiving technique. I'm not trying to get perfect blending, but I am smoothing that out. Here I'm bringing in my Distress Oxide and Speckled Egg and applying that to the bottom portion of my panel. And the two colors will meet, and I will come back and blend those out. But for now, just trying to get the Speckled Egg color down. Where I come back and let those meet and blend those out. And you don't see it, but I do have a towel over to the left side of my table, and I am wiping my brush on that towel every time I blend both of these colors together, because I don't want to cross-contaminate and get purple on my Speckled Egg ink pad. So that's what I'm doing there, and I keep working this until I get the blend that I want. And I will bring my Dusty Concord backhand in and actually do some more blending with that, and again wipe my brush off over to the side so as not to cross-contaminate my piece or my ink pads. So I keep blending my panel and my inks until I get the desired look, and you can see the blue, it's starting to look a little bluer towards the center where the inks meet, and that's what I want. Okay, and so now I'm going to bring in my microfiber cloth and clean off my stencil a little there just to get that main ink off. Here I've come in with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink and a small brush and inked up in black the bottom of each of my panels, and I forgot to turn my camera on. And then I placed my hills into my MISTI and picked those up with the door. Here I'm bringing in my anti-static powder tool and dusting my panel for heat embossing. I'm bringing in my VersaFine Onyx black ink and stamping each of my hills onto the bottom of the panel, and basically covering most of that black shading that I did. And I thought that would, because of the stencil, you know, I don't get good stamping coverage at the bottom, so I thought that shadowing would pretty much help that to blend in better. Okay, so here I place some post-it note paper on my panel so that I can stamp my hills on the right side of my collage without transferring that black ink onto those left panels of the collage. Stamp this multiple times to get the best coverage that I can, and then I move on to my last two panels or portions of the collage. Here I'm strategically placing my nativity images throughout my collage. I want my North Star, and I want my wise men coming in from the east into the city of Bethlehem, and then my last scene will be the nativity. Once I get them all placed, I will pick them up with the Dwarf My Misty, go ahead and ink them with my VersaFine Onyx black ink and get them stamped. And I stamp them a few times to get good coverage. Placing Joseph, the baby, and Mary inside of the manger, and we'll go ahead and stamp them also. And then bringing in another lamb to the left of the nativity. Now for the reveal. I'm removing my stencil, and that is just gorgeous. That's exactly what I was looking for. So now I'm removing my mint tape, and I will go ahead and bring in my ultra fine clear embossing powder, and go ahead and get this ready for heat. And so here I am heating up, starting from the back until my heat tool is really hot, and then I'll bring it to the front here and go ahead and melt my embossing powder. And here I'm bringing a small paintbrush in and just touching up a little of that top left area, just the bottom, and then using a post-it note here to mask underneath. So the second panel, I wished I had done that on the first because I kind of colored outside of the line. So I'm masking as I go and touching up my scenes, and then I will cover most of that top left panel or collage area, so as to cover up that little hiccup. Once I'm done touching up, I did bring in my VersaFine re-inker and use that instead of the pad just to get more ink on my brush. And so now I'm bringing my clear embossing powder back in and putting it over those wet areas, and bringing my heat tool back in to melt that embossing powder. Here I placed my panel inside of my splatter box and bringing in some acrylic, some Dina Wakley acrylic white ink, and making some splatter so that I have a snowy effect on this panel. I'm bringing in just a dry paper towel and blotting off some of that excess, and then I will set my panel aside to dry. Adding some liquid adhesive to my die, just a blank die from that waffle flower collage. I've cut 2 of those, or 2 extra, and I'm just using liquid glue to glue those together, and then I will glue them to the back of my focal panel. I'm applying liquid adhesive to the back of my stacked panel, and I will then place this on my black mat. Cut my black mat to 4 7/8 by 6 7/8 because my Postage Collage is all about 4.5 by 6.5, and so I just want about 1/8 of an inch of a border. Placed an acrylic block over top to help that adhere firmer, and then have partially removed the release paper from my double-sided tape and adding liquid glue to those exposed areas, and then placing this on my card base. And once I get it positioned where I want it, I remove the remaining release paper. So here I'm bringing my Misty back in, and I'm going to place my panel, or my card actually, in the top right corner, add my magnet, and then bring in my sentiment, or bring in my T-ruler and figure out where I want to place my sentiment. I want to cover that top left bottom portion of my collage, and with my sentiments. That's what I'm doing here. I did mount my sentiment onto foam tape, and that is perfect. So I'm bringing in my mono sand eraser here and erasing a few areas where I have just a little black ink where it shouldn't be, and then bringing in my white gel pen to touch that up and make it white again. And that finishes off this card. Love the way it turned out. I don't think I need any embellishment or anything, but you certainly can add those if that is the look that you want. And don't forget to check out all of the crafty friends in this hop. I will leave a link to the next person below in the description bar, so please go over and check them out. Let them know you came over from my video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you liked the video and will give me a thumbs up, and consider subscribing if not already a subscriber. Good day, friends.